Hi everyone, John Cottrell here of MBODY Yoga, and this is Soft Flow Yoga. Thanks for joining me. This class is called Pyramids and Triangles, a very similar shape, and they're actually yoga poses. So we'll be practicing those poses today, and they involve our legs, so primarily our hamstrings. So let's get right to it. So we will need some props. I've got my yoga blocks. You might want two for this one. So if you don't have yoga blocks, if you have some sturdy hardbound books, for example, or something similar to that, that could come in handy for one of our poses. So we'll have those. And something soft to sit on and or kneel on. That could be a blanket or a folded towel. Even you can double up on your yoga mats if you happen to have a thin mat. Sometimes it's a good idea to actually just lay another mat on top of that. And if you want maybe a big cushion or pillow, I've got my yoga bolster here, so you can have that handy as well. So let's go ahead and start, as always, in a comfortable seated position. Feel free to sit with your legs crossed in any style. You can also extend your legs out if you need to, or if you need a little extra support, feel free to sit up against a wall or even in a chair for this first portion of our practice. We like to take the time just to get in tune with ourselves, and we do that by focusing on breath. So you might start with a few deep breaths, a nice full breath in, and exhale with an audible sigh. Let's do that again. A nice full breath in and exhale. Very nice. Good, and just kind of settle in and just continue with slow, steady breaths. Now you can do this with your eyes opened, and if they are open, you can just gaze softly forward or even down at the floor. You can also just close your eyes, just taking a moment of stillness, just to gather ourselves, to fully arrive in the moment, letting go of the things that are going on outside of you, so you can pay attention to the things going on inside of you. Slow, steady breaths, intentional breathing. You can consider this meditation, just this nice focusing, concentrating on your breath. Feel your breath as it moves through your body. And listen to the sound of your breath. Good. Just stay in this moment. Continue to settle in. And to bring a little bit more attention to the breath, you may do this. As you inhale, just feel your breath rising upward, and just imagine you're trying to pull your breath up to expand your lungs and open your heart space. Then as you exhale, you want to keep that uplifting sensation of the breath, and we create a lock as we exhale. It's the abdominal lock as we now draw the belly button in towards the spine. It's a light contraction of the abdominal muscles. So again, imagine your breath lives in your belly. You're going to inhale and pull that breath up and keep that uplifting sensation as you feel that expansion across your chest. So that that breath and sensation doesn't drop back down, we create that lock. That's the exhale. Try again. Inhale, lifting up. Fill up your lungs. Exhale, draw belly button in. Uddiyana Bandha, that's the abdominal lock. So just adding more awareness to the breathing sensation. Let's do that a few more times. In a moment, we'll add a very simple movement to this breath, just creating a moving meditation. Let's take 3 more breaths here in stillness. And then when you're ready to move, take your time, just inhale and extend your arms out across the room. Let them float all the way up Finishing the in-breath, be sure to reach all the way up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, extend your arms out. Even imagine you'll touch the walls on either side of you. Finishing the exhale as the arms come down to your side. Again, inhale, extend your arms out and up. Good lengthening through the arms, also through the sides of your body. Exhale, nice energy through your fingertips, reaching out, arms come back down. Now go ahead and continue this movement of the body and certainly movement of the breath. Go at your own pace. So you don't have to follow me exactly. Just listen and feel within you. And as you move in slow motion, just notice the sensations in your body. Then energy through your arms, hands, and fingers, lengthening through the sides of your body and lengthening up through your spine. Be aware of the sensations in your shoulders. And you're still breathing as you inhale and arms go up. The breath is still rising to fill your lungs. And as you exhale, although the arms are coming down, we don't want the breath to feel like it's dropping. We're still keeping that uplifting sensation of the breath and creating the abdominal lock, drawing the belly button in towards spine. Now go ahead and finish the breath that you're on right now, and then take 2 more. Just continue to move and flow with your own breath. Take your time. And when you're complete, you can just let your arms relax down by your side and just come back to stillness. And just hold here for a moment. Just notice that transition from a moving body to a body that's in stillness. While still seated, let's bring the hands behind us. You might just prop yourself up onto your fingertips here. And as the arms come back, feel the shoulders also pull back. Just another way to expand and open your heart space so that when you inhale, you can really feel that expansion. So as you inhale, just press your fingertips into the floor. Feel the strength and energy in your arms, breath rising to fill your lungs. As you exhale, still drawing belly button in towards spine. And feeling the shoulder blades squeeze together behind you. Inhale, lifting up through the heart, breath rising to fill your heart space. Exhale, draw belly button in. Squeezing shoulder blades together. And just hold this for a moment. Continue to breathe in and out, but continue to feel what's happening in your body. Lots of sensation here. Two more breaths. And when you're complete, you can just lower your chin and just look forward. You can walk your hands towards yourself. Rise up so you have a nice long spine. And just bring your hands in front of you here and just let them rest on your lap. Take a couple breaths here in stillness. So that was our mild seated back bend. Let's take a forward fold. So if your legs are crossed here, go ahead and uncross the legs. We're just going to reposition the feet so that the soles of the feet are touching here, knees are bent, and kind of opened out to the side. Now there might be a gap or some space between you and the floor. That's fine. This is where your books or blocks can come in handy. So you might want to bring in the blocks, whatever prop you might have, and just bring them underneath you. This could be rolled up towels or even some smaller pillows. And just let your legs relax on the props so that as they relax, then the inner thighs can easily stretch and release in this pose. So go ahead and hold on to your ankles or shins. Inhale and just sit up as tall as you can. You're also creating a little bit more space along the spine and in the pelvic bowl. As you exhale, draw belly button in. That's also for support. And hinge forward from the hips, leading with your heart and chin just a little bit here, not too much. Take another breath, continue to feel that extension through the spine. We're still kind of tipped over at this mild angle. Exhale, hinge forward a tiny bit more. Now you really don't have to go too far into this forward fold sensation, just enough where you maybe feel a light stretch or some sensation in the inner legs for this hip opener. This posture is called bound angle pose. It's called that because the binding part is actually you holding onto your feet or ankles. And the angle, of course, is just the bend in the knees. It's also sometimes called cobbler's pose. Let's take another couple breaths here. Now you can hinge forward a tiny bit more. Don't worry though if your back begins to round. You can certainly lower your chin here a little bit. It just creates a new sensation perhaps down the spine, a nice stretch quality through your back body. Couple more breaths. Now, if you did allow the chin to drop in your back to round, to re-extend the spine, just lift your chin. That will help to re-extend the spine. And then hinge your way back up so you're sitting up nice and tall right here. Hold for a moment. And completing there. Let's go ahead and move our props out of the way. Let's maneuver ourselves to our hands and knees. This is where your blanket or towels can come in handy here too. Just something soft underneath you. I'm just going to unfold my blanket here like that so I can get my knees and my hands up here like this. So come to this tabletop posture. Moving through two poses, cat and cow pose. They flow together. Cow pose is a back bend where you inhale and just tip the chin up or look forward. Even feel like your heart is moving forward. The pelvis is tipping back, which creates this back bend. The belly kind of drops, and there we are. That's cow pose. And we exhale, tuck the pelvis under. Feel your belly button pull up towards spine. We're still engaging the abdominal lock. With that, notice the rounding of the spine. Chin tucks in towards chest. This is cat. And then reverse it. Inhale, tip the pelvis back. Feel the belly drop. There's our back bend. Heart opens. Look forward. I'm slowing this down and breaking it down so you can see how this goes. Exhale, starting with the back end. Tuck the tailbone under. Belly button pulls up towards spine. Rounded back, chin to chest. And just continue to move and breathe at your own pace. There's still some energy in your arms. Hands, of course, are on the floor. Just to kind of light press into the floor with the hands so your arms stay straight. So it doesn't feel like your elbows are going to bend and you kind of drop out of this posture. Just some upper body strength and awareness here too, which certainly will come in handy in our downward facing dog. Let's take 2 more breaths. And when you're complete, just come to a neutral position here on your hands and knees, holding here in stillness for a moment. Very good. And then we'll sit back. We'll move our blanket out of the way here. And get that prop off to the side and just return to hands and knees so we can set up for downward facing dog. So here's our kind of that tabletop position. From here, you may step your hands forward a little bit. Spread out your fingers on the floor so you have a nice wide base. You also get a nice stretch between each finger. Press into the mat so there's this opening of the palms. Again, you want to feel this strength and energy in your straight arms. Hold here and then tuck your toes. Let's do one more cat-cow flow. Inhale, cow, that's the back bend. So look forward, creating the back bend. Exhale, round it into cat pose. Hold cat pose. Be sure your toes are tucked. So you can lift your knees off the floor, then lift your hips up into the air. You're, of course, pressing hands into the floor. The arms are straight and strong. Now, you might need to adjust your feet a little bit. Maybe tiptoe forward slightly, even take the feet slightly wider. I even like to take my hands out a little wider just a little broader than my shoulders. So I have a little bit more space in my shoulders. That way I can just feel the chest sink here. There's no pinching in the shoulders. My ears are running alongside the arms. Let's take a few steps forward so that our feet are flat on the mat, and they'll probably end up about center on the mat. And then just slide your fingertips toward your toes. So you'll be in a forward fold. But we'll inhale and slide the hands up the legs to your shins or knees, only rising up halfway. So just kind of manipulate yourself so you feel kind of flat here like a table. Make sure your feet feel solid on the floor. Notice that they're parallel to one another, one alongside the other. Keep a softness in the knees. You're going to feel a natural engagement in the legs to hold you in place. Maintain this good extension through the torso now that we're parallel to the floor. The crown of your head is pointing forward, but feel like it's moving you forward. And your hips and tailbone feel like they're moving you to the back of the room. Let's continue standing, but first shift your weight into your heels so your toes feel a little lighter. Bend your knees to lower your hips, lifting the chest a little bit. We'll still have a straight line, but at a new angle. Arms are out to the side. You're going to feel the energy in your legs still. Arms out to the side. Press heels into the floor to help you stand up until you're nice and tall. Reach into the air to continue that nice length through the entire body. Then exhale, bring your arms down to your side. And just hold here for a moment. So this is our first standing posture. Let's roll the shoulders a few times, a little check-in. Even some gentle movements of the head and neck. I like to carefully bring ears down towards shoulders, even nod yes a few times. And you can just kind of work down your body if you like. Maybe just check in with your hips, knees, feet, and ankles. Maybe a few breaths, just starting to really open up the body. All right. We're going to do that same segment there. We're starting in standing. We're going to do a forward fold and come back up. This is our half salute to the sun. So I'm just going to return to the top of the mat here. So together we'll inhale, extend the arms all the way up. Nice, strong, straight line. Exhale, spread your wings, bend your knees. Imagine you're sitting back into a chair behind you. Okay, nice, solid sensation. You can just lower your hands, lower your head. You'll get a natural curve of the spine, and maybe reaching down toward your toes. You might even touch your toes. Then inhale, slide your hands back up to your shins or knees, extending through your spine. Let's pause again in this half forward fold. See if you can feel or sense that the spine is straight and strong. Feet firmly connected to the earth, bent knees, strong legs. And let's add something here, which is actually going to come in handy in our one of our poses later. If you can, lift your arms and reach back behind you like so. So hopefully mine are about parallel to the floor here. Reaching back, I've kind of created these blades with my hands and fingers. Let's see if we can keep them behind us by shifting weight into the heels of the feet. Bend your knees, rise up partially, so we're here. Arms are still behind us, reaching back energetically to the fingers. All right, we're going to now take the arms out and up as we continue standing, finishing the sensation. Get nice and tall. Exhale, arms return down to your side. Very good. And then a little roll of the shoulders. You can even shake out the hands since the hands were pretty active in that blade sensation. Let's do a couple of standing positions here. I like to do a variation of Warrior One. All right, again, standing near the top of the mat. Of course, Warrior One is a lunge, but we do it slightly different this first time. So standing tall, nice long neck, looking directly forward. We'll start by putting a little softness in the knees, a little bend in the knees, and keep them bent. Now shift your weight into your right foot. Root solid into the floor with your right foot. Slightly lean forward. You can feel your toes of your right foot grip. That way your left foot feels light. You can actually tap it back like so until it just naturally stops where you can't take it back much more. Alrighty, heel is lifted initially, but you're going to turn your whole leg out this way, turning the foot so you actually can plant your whole foot into the floor and feel your whole body weight shift back to center so you really are balanced. Now with a little bit of distance between your feet. Place your hands on your hips. You're going to push your pelvis down while you feel the torso lift dynamically. So we're just creating some space along the belt line here so we can turn to face forward like so. Now inhale and extend both arms out and up. And this exhale will bend the elbows to about 90 degrees, something like this. And so we'll hold here for our variation of Warrior One. Just to get a sense of standing in a lunge with one foot behind you. Be aware of how this feels. This is a pose we do quite a bit in yoga, Warrior One, and this just happens to be a variation of Warrior One. Now we'll inhale and extend the arms straight up. Exhale, bring the arms down. You can bring your hands to your hips here. Shift your weight forward into this front foot, good bend of the knee. Let's re-lift that left heel, turn the toes so they're pointing forward. Let's try something else while we're here. Pull the weight back again into that back heel. Now, this feels a little different. All 10 toes are pointing forward here. Notice what this feels like in your legs, your feet, your ankles, your calves in this position. And if you can, maybe stand up nice and tall for a moment. Straight arms, make those blades again with your fingers. Keeping the knees slightly soft because this will help us maintain balance. You're going to start to hinge forward a little bit. Maybe at 45 degrees, maybe here. And if you're able, going a little bit more where you're getting closer to that parallel line with the floor. Arms behind you. Now this, we're going to consider this a variation of pyramid pose, which is one of our featured postures today in our practice. Okay? Then we're going to come back up. I'm just kind of pushing into the floor with my front foot, giving me some leverage so I can hinge from hips and rise back up like so. Shake out the arms. Hands again on hips. Lean forward again, weight into this front foot. Now we'll pick up this left foot and land it next to the other. Go ahead and inhale now and extend both arms up into the air just to realign the whole body. And arms return down to your side. Very good. And even shake that out. Okay, we're going to do the same thing, other side. So returning to mountain pose. Feet right next to each other here. Be sure not to lock out your knees, but do soften the knees. Keep them bent. Start shifting weight into your left foot. Keep that good connection. Lean forward slightly, even gripping the mat with your left set of toes. So your right foot feels light. You can easily start tapping it back until it naturally stops. Heel is lifted initially. We'll turn the whole leg outward. Turns the foot outward, and then shift the weight back so you're on your heel, and then you're balanced, like so. Hands on hips, pushing your pelvis down, feeling the torso lift, again making space around the belt line so we have some easy mobility to turn to face mostly forward here. So heart, knee, and toes pointing directly forward. Now inhale, extend both arms straight up. Exhale, bend elbows to 90 degrees. Again, this is our variation of Warrior One, which will transition to our variation of pyramid pose. Let's take a few breaths here, just so you can just feel this nice steady stance. One more breath. Here we go. Now inhale to extend the arms straight up. Exhale, bring the arms down, and you can bring hands to hips again. Let's lean forward, and let's put weight into this front foot so you can lift that back heel and turn the toes so that everything's pointing forward. And then shift back again, plant the heel into the floor. Keep the knees bent. Now this takes a little bit more balance if you notice this. Notice what's happening in this right ankle, the back foot, because it feels kind of different as far as kind of this leaning forward sensation in kind of the front portion of the ankle and foot and shin. All right, we're kind of coming back, finding center here. Let's shoot the arms straight down. There's our bladed fingers. Hinge forward about 45 degrees. You can stay just like this. This is fine. Or even going a little bit more, getting closer to parallel. See if you can maintain your balance. One of the balancing acts of this posture is trying to maintain this centering effect, that your center of gravity is still at your pelvis here, right between the feet, and you haven't shifted too much into this front foot, okay? There we are. Let's hinge our way back up by pushing front foot into the floor, rising here. You can place your hands on your hips again, lean again into this front foot, pick up the right, land it next to the other, finishing the flow with an inhale, taking both arms straight up. Very nice. Exhale, arms return down to your side. Very good. Now just kind of recapping just what I was talking about. When the foot is turned forward and you're kind of leaning, just a different sensation kind of in this front portion of the ankle and shin. So as a little counter effect, what you can do is maybe bring in a blanket or towel. And if you need a wall or something for balance, you don't have to do this. It's just a thought, is maybe come to the top of the foot, like so, just to give that front portion of the ankle a little stretch. That's all I'm doing here. Okay, I'm just going to do both sides. Alrighty. Just so we get some nice mobility, nice stretch and relief for the feet, just because of that particular stance. All right, very good. Let's return to mountain pose, and we'll go through our sun salutation, taking our time and moving through our warrior one sequence with the second version. Let me move my blanket to the side. Meet me here in mountain pose, nice and tall, feet parallel to one another. Let's keep that softness in the knees. Here we go. Inhale, extend the arms straight up. This exhale, spread your wings out to the side, bend your knees, sit back into your imaginary chair. Your chest is coming down closer towards your thighs. Your arms come down, your head will drop down, even let your belly touch your thighs here, and your fingers might touch your toes. Inhale, slide your hands up to your shins, your knees, and extend your spine, creating that long, flat back. Exhale, fold. Keep bending your knees, let your back round so you can get low enough to place your hands on the floor in front of you, and just carefully step the feet back. Take as many steps as you need to get to the back end of your mat, like so, and then just kind of draw this straight line in the body. I'm just lowering my hips. You'll feel and see this alignment of shoulders over wrists, pressing hands strongly into the earth so you have strong straight arms. This is plank pose. Let's breathe in. Exhale, bend your knees a little. Send your hips up into the air. Make those same adjustments we did earlier. You might tiptoe forward slightly, take the feet wide just a little bit, even take the hands wide a little bit here. All right, knees can remain very bent. That will allow your hips to lift up a little higher. As it feels good on your shoulders and back, just let your whole upper body kind of sink, and your ears are just running along side of your arms. Now, what I like to do before I pick up my right foot is I step my left foot towards center. This is just going to help with balance. And then pick up the right foot and extend the right leg back into the air, straight as can be. Make sure the arms are straight and strong. Inhale here. Exhale, let's bend the right knee, and as you exhale, bend it, bring the right knee in underneath you towards your chest. You're really just shifting your body forward so your shoulders are over your wrists again, and then set this right foot down. You'll be on your toes, heel lifted. Now, set the left knee onto the floor. This is a way to shift your weight back, getting the weight off the hands, because we want to get the foot up closer to the hand. This is just a variation, a modification. Pick up the right foot or ankle and just step the foot up a little higher onto the mat. So we're going to create a little bit more distance between the feet. Let's re-lift the left knee, pivot left heel to the floor. Now there's still a lot of weight forward, and I can't get my foot entirely on the mat unless I shift my body back. I might even need to step the hands back. You can even bring in your blocks if you need a little extra lift. But be sure your foot is solid on the floor behind you. Walk both hands up to your thigh, which will help you to lift slightly. We're going to return kind of to this 45-degree angle. See if you can straighten the spine here, just supporting yourself with your hands on your thigh. Then, as you're able, extend your arms out to the side and up into the air as you grow tall, and now we're perpendicular to the floor. That's an inhale, then exhale just to settle into the pose. This is our second variation of Warrior One. So notice there's more distance between the feet, and now our arms are straight up into the air. Warrior One, and let's proceed to Warrior Two. Breathe in, exhale, turn your torso toward your left side. That's it, bring your arms down to parallel to the floor. Nice extension of the arms for a moment. Now I'm going to break pose for a moment and bring my hands down. Let's go back to our feet. Let's start with the front foot. Be sure your right knee and toes are pointing forward. Just be aware if your right knee dipped to the inside of your ankle. We want to stay right inside of the ankle there. We want to make sure it's kind of stacked over the ankle or heel. The back foot, it's a funny little turn here of the foot, at least for me, and it feels odd in my knee and hip. So if the toes are kind of pointing in as mine are, feel free to rotate the leg and foot out. This feels a little bit more natural for me. So just kind of check in with the feet. Nice alignment up front and good awareness of natural alignment in the back leg. Now let's return to our parallel arms, Warrior Two. Going to a side angle pose, which means we're reaching forward to angle the upper half of the body, and we'll rotate the arms here, bring the right hand, let's say, to the inner thigh, just to make sure your knee isn't dipping to the inside. Just give it a little nudge to keep it opened. And the left hand reaching straight up into the air. This is side angle pose, which we're going to turn into triangle pose, another featured posture in our practice today. So side angle, of course, we have a nice bend in the knee, great heart space and torso opening, as well as a hip opener. Let's relax this arm for a moment, because sometimes that shoulder can get a little tired. And so we're going to straighten this front leg to shift into triangle pose. So imagine like there was a rope or something on the left hip, and it's going to pull so we can straighten the right leg. Does that make sense? A little pull here to straighten this front leg. Now we're still tipped over. The hand is still against the leg. You might be a little lower, but you don't have to be. And then we can go ahead and re-extend this left arm up into the air. This is triangle pose. Notice the length that's happening in the hamstrings here. Let's just hold for another breath or two, and we'll come out of the pose. To come out, we'll start by bending this right knee again. Let's return to Warrior Two. Let's relax the arms, even circle the shoulders a little bit. Okay. Feel tall in the torso so you can actually turn your torso to face forward. Let's take the arms up to parallel, flip the palms up, and we're going to fold. Come down, hands to the floor, rise up onto your tiptoes behind you, and this is a runner's lunge or a low lunge. Push firmly into the mat with the hands, strong straight arms. That way we can pull this right foot back to meet the other, and we've returned to plank pose. Let's take a pause here. Let's bring both knees to the floor. You're certainly welcome to bring in your blanket or towel. Hold here for a moment and just notice we're going to have the toes pointing behind us. And as we start to sit back carefully, you're going to start to get another stretch through the top of the foot. Now you don't have to go all the way down. This is hero pose. Partially down, I like to call it half hero, but if we were to hold this posture, which you could do, is maybe take a blanket or a towel or something and even tuck it here between the legs to sit back on, okay? And we're doing this on purpose because remember that posture with the foot, and we're getting that different stretch through the front ankle and shin. This is kind of a counter pose or the opposite position. Just one more breath here. Let's do a little circle of the wrists because we're going to be going back out onto our hands. Alrighty, here we go. Let's remove our prop. Back to our little tabletop here. Take a breath. And let's set up again for downward facing dog. So let's step the hands forward, spread out your fingers, palms flat on the mat. Push into the floor, strong straight arms. Tuck your toes, cat, cow. Starting with cow, inhale, Look up, there's our back bend. Exhale, round into cat pose. Again, be sure your toes are tucked. Lift knees off the floor. Float your hips up into the air. Make adjustments with the feet and your hands. Keep knees soft and just settle into the pose. Bent knees keep the mobility in the hips and allows the hips to lift so you can straighten your spine. Make sure your arms are straight and strong by pushing hands firmly into the mat. All right, let's get ready for Warrior One. Let's start by stepping the right foot in towards center. Then we can pick up the left foot and extend the left leg straight back. Inhale to find this extension. Exhale, bend the left knee, bring it in underneath you towards your chest or chin, shifting forward so your shoulders are now aligned over your wrists. Now, if we can't get the foot up to the wrist, that's fine. That's why we're doing this variation. Set the foot down, left foot, then set your right knee down. Pull the weight away from your hand so you can free up your left hand. Let's go get this left ankle and pick it up and place it up a little higher. So the toes will be just kind of right behind the wrist. That should be fine for this. And then re-lift that back knee, pivot or turn that back foot and leg so your heel is on the floor. But remember, there's a lot of weight forward. We need to get weight in that back foot. Step the hands back to help with that. Even rise up to fingertips. Here, we're finding some extension of spine, but to help with that, bring your hands up to your thigh, rising to that 45-degree angle. That's going to help you find space to lengthen through the torso here. Even though there's this angled upper body, there's a lot of weight and energy going this way, we need the same amount of energy going the opposite direction. That's why we want some good pressure into the floor with that back foot. This should allow us to free the hands, reach out, reach up, now perpendicular to the floor with the upper body. Here's our Warrior One, and just settle in with a breath or two. Ready to open this to Warrior Two. Let's inhale first. Exhale, turn to the right side of the room. Arms come down to parallel. Nice energetic reach across the room with the arms. All right, hold. We're going to make some adjustments with the feet and check in. Let's bring the arms down so the shoulders can relax. Let's check in with the left knee and toes are pointing forward, making sure the left knee isn't dipping to the inside. Okay, here. Let's check in with that back leg. See, for me, this feels a little odd. It doesn't feel natural with that foot turned in. So I'm just going to turn my foot out. And I just feel that there's more freedom in my hip here. Let's re-extend the arms so they're parallel to the floor. And another little extra piece here, just to make this more official, you can turn your head towards the front hand. Let's take side angle. Let's reach out over this left knee to angle the upper half of the body. Don't have to tip over too much. Rotate the arms so your left hand, palm kind of facing the right side of the room here. Arm or hand braced against the inner leg while your right hand's reaching into the air. This is our side angle pose. A couple breaths here. Nice opening through the chest and hips, and we'll get ready to set up for triangle. Let's go ahead and lower this arm just so we can relax that shoulder again. Now imagine, again, there's a rope attached to the right hip. It's getting pulled that direction so it straightens this front leg. And let's return to our arm extension, reaching down and up, and there's our triangle pose. Nice stretch and lengthening through this front leg. This also affects the hips and, of course, the torso. Another breath. And to finish the posture, let's bend this left knee, lunge, return to Warrior Two, and let's relax the arms, give them a little circle here. Turn your torso so you're facing forward. Let's take the arms up to parallel, flip the palms up, and then fold. Hands to the floor here, rise up onto your tiptoes behind you. So we're in that runner's lunge or low lunge. Good pressure into the floor with the hands, strong straight arms. So we can then pull this left foot back. There's plank pose. Good strength building in this posture. Okay, let's bring knees to the floor. Let's sit back briefly in our half hero. Now you can do this with, the first time we did it with feet long like this, so we can get that stretch along the shin and ankle and top of the foot, but you can also just tuck your toes under like this, okay? And just holding for a moment. Let's do a little floor work. So I'm gonna actually sit all the way back, but then off to the side, sit, and then swing the legs around to the front here. Scoot forward so you're sitting in the center of your mat, because we need space behind us because we're going to roll down onto the back. This is where you'll need one or two of your blocks. If you have a thick block, then maybe one is fine for this. And just have it by your side. Go ahead and roll down onto your back. And as you roll down, go ahead and bring knees into chest, just for a little relaxing moment. This is nice. Take some breath so you can check in with your breathing. Add some gentle movements as it feels good. And also check in with the feet again. I like to create some circles here, both directions, flex and point. And with that flex and point, you really feel kind of the ligaments and muscles engage and relax here in the legs. Let's get set up for bridge. It's a back bend. So set the feet onto the floor. You want to get a sense that your shins, the lower portion of the legs, are straight up and down. So your knees are stacked nicely over your heels or ankles. For me, I like to take the feet wide, wider than the hips. That just provides more space for me and my hips and my low back, so I can actually lift. But we're not going to lift too high. We're going to use a block for support. So as you inhale, fill up your lungs. Exhale through the mouth. Feel the air empty from the belly. And then press feet into the floor, just lifting the hips high enough to slide your book or block underneath you. I like to turn my block up one notch, because it's just the perfect height for my hips to sit on, and then I just relax here. So it's like lying on the floor, but all you've done is just kind of elevated and then sitting on this prop. So it starts to create this natural opening in the front body, but it's not too dynamic, but just enough, really. Now you could go higher up. Now if you've got thicker blocks and you can actually stack two underneath you, feel free, okay? It creates more of that back bend feel, but you're still being supported in the pose. Wherever you are, just rest for a moment. Just hold in stillness, pay attention to the breathing. Good. In a moment, we'll be moving back into our pyramid pose, another version of it, and returning to triangle pose. Pyramids and triangles today, working our legs. 2 more breaths. Alrighty, now press feet into the floor so you can now relift the hips. Even hold here for a second so you can actually feel your hamstrings and glutes engaged. It's a nice little exercise, moving your block out of the way, and then slowly return to the earth. We're going to go ahead and draw the knees into chest. We're going to come to seated. So you can just roll to one side like so. Use your hands to help press yourself up to seated. You might scoot back a little bit if you need be, because we're going to extend the legs out front. As you extend the legs, flex your feet to help energize the legs. Place your hands on the floor by your hips. Push into the floor to help extend the spine. So we have a nice 90-degree angle or an L shape in the body. Now if the shoulders feel like they're dipping forward or pointing forward, just see if you can roll them back. You can even adjust your hands. Pull the shoulders back so there's a little bit more opening up through the heart. We're lengthening through the torso, nice long neck, looking forward. This is just another kind of stretch quality in the legs. Now we could hinge forward, but we're just going to stay like this. This is called staff pose. Staff. Now we start to fold forward. That, of course, just becomes a seated forward fold. But let's just stay here for a couple more breaths. Since we're working hamstrings, this is a nice way to engage the legs, and it will also prepare us for our second version of pyramid and triangle. Go ahead and soften the body here. I'm going to drag the heels in, even cross legs. Now if you can, we're going to get the hands out front and roll forward onto our hands, but that might be a little complicated. So what you can do, just bring the hands over to your side, uncross the legs, and just maneuver yourself so you're returning to hands and knees here. Let's return to a downward, actually before we get to a downward facing dog, let's get our blocks. So we're going to need those now. I'm going to bring my blocks just to the front of my mat. And I call this level 3, so the highest version of my block stack like that. Let's step the hands forward, spread out your fingers, palms flat into the mat, strong straight arms, tuck your toes. Let's do another cat-cow. Inhale for cow, there's our back bend. Exhale, round it into cat. Lift knees, send hips into the air. Let the chest sink. Make some adjustments with feet and hands. Settle into your pose. Make sure your neck is relaxed here too. Now we're going to step the feet forward to the center of the mat so you're flat on your feet, and once again just drag your fingers towards your toes. So you're in forward fold. You're going to lean a little bit towards your toes, just a little bit, so you can continue to feel the engaged legs, so you can stay folded forward and slightly tipped forward, but without falling forward. Okay? All right, we're getting ready for our next pose. Let's bring those blocks in. If they're way out in front, bring them in closer. So that way you can actually press into the blocks to help extend the spine. So we're moving to our pyramid pose. Now if you look at your feet, they're parallel to one another, one next to the other. This is certainly more natural. We're going to do something that might feel a little unnatural. So try this with me. I'm shifting my weight into my right hand and right foot. Soften the knees here. So the left foot feels light because I'm going to take the leg back. It's like I'm sweeping the floor with a broom, and just sweep it back until it lifts up off the floor. It doesn't have to lift very high. Let's keep the foot flexed. I'm shifting it towards my right leg and then setting the foot back down, but it's directly behind my right heel. So it's like you're standing on a painted line. I'm relying a lot on these blocks for balance. That means there's a lot of weight forward and not a lot of weight in this back foot. So what you can do carefully, you can bend the knees here, walk your blocks back to help send the weight of your body back into this left heel. This is the more traditional way of standing in pyramid pose. One foot directly behind the other. And you can see there is a little space between my feet. Notice the sensation in the legs. Very different sensation. Now your knees might be slightly bent. That's fine. But if you're able, I'm just going to rise up a little higher on my blocks. I'm just making fists so I can straighten my arms. Make sure your blocks feel steady on the floor. And even straightening my legs a little bit. And squeezing towards each other, meaning my legs feel like they're just crossing. Okay? Now stay like this if you need the balance, but if you can and want to, take your arms up and back, reaching back with bladed fingers. Very dynamic sensation. Balance work, core work, certainly leg work. Let's bring the hands back down to the blocks. Wow, that's so dynamic. Okay, let's do this. Let's get the weight back into the hands. Let's reposition the left foot next to the right foot, shifting the weight back into the heels of the feet so I can free up my hands, bend the knees, and rise up until I'm nice and tall here. Reach into the air. Exhale, arms down to my side. Let's move into triangle pose from here. Soft knees, shifting weight into right foot. We're going to kind of repeat what we did earlier. Light left foot, tap it back. Here, heel lifted initially, but then turn the leg out, plant into the floor. Now there's not a lot of distance between the feet. What you can do is actually step the foot back a little bit more. Let's come to a warrior two. Let's go to a side angle right here. Right hand down, left hand up. Stay here. Let's lower this left arm just for relaxation of that left shoulder. You can do this, but you don't have to do this. But imagine you're pulling a rope that's attached to your left hip to pull back to extend the right leg. All right, that's just an option. I'm just giving you a visual to see what's happening with the hips or the pelvis and this front leg. And then extend your arms. There's our triangle pose. So pyramids and triangles. All right, getting out of the pose, let's bend the right knee, return to a warrior two, relax the arms, turn to face forward, flip the palms up, fold. Go ahead and bring your hands down to the blocks if they're right there. Rise up onto tiptoes behind you, little bend of the knee behind you there, and push to step forward until we're in forward fold. So let's just stay here and set up for pyramid on the other side. Knees are soft. Shifting weight now into left hand and left foot. Sweep the floor with your right foot, sliding it back until it lifts, flex the foot, reposition the right foot directly behind the left with a little space between the toes and the heel. Again, there's a lot of weight forward, so start to push or shift the weight back into the right heel. You can move your blocks here to help with that. I call them stilts or walking sticks to shift the weight back. Again, notice this change, this difference in balancing on 2 feet. Instead of having the feet next to each other, one's behind the other. I'm going to rise up to my fists just so I can rise up a little higher to extend the spine and help to straighten my legs, squeezing the inner legs towards each other. Or even it feels though as like you're crossing your legs. You can stay like this for balance, or if you're able, let's free the hands, lift the arms, reach back so they're parallel to the floor with bladed fingers. I mean, I can feel my body kind of wobbling because it's trying to maintain balance here. Pyramid pose. Let's bring the hands back down to the blocks, shifting the weight forward a little bit. Into the left foot. Let's reposition the right foot next to the other. Moving my blocks forward a little bit, leaning back into my hips and heels so I can free up my hands and rise up nice and tall, extended mountain pose. Exhale, bring the arms down to the side. Ready for triangle on this side. Soften the knees, shifting weight into left foot. Lean forward slightly so I can tap the right foot back, heel lifted until it just naturally stops. Let's turn the leg out, pivot, press, heel into the floor, balanced on 2 feet in a lunge. Creating a little bit more space between the feet by stepping the right foot back. Let's take this right away to a warrior two. Let's take this to side angle now, reaching out. Rotate the arms, reach high and low. Getting ready to change this into triangle. Let's bring the right arm down just for relaxation of the shoulder. You can do that imaginary rope pull up through the right hip to straighten the left leg. And then re-extend the arms. Notice that change. There's a dynamic that shifts in the hips and the legs. Coming out of the pose, bend the left knee, rise up, return to warrior two. Let's relax and drop the arms. Turn to face forward, arms up, flip the palms up, fold again, hands down to the blocks, rise up onto tiptoes behind you. Okay, a little bend of that knee, all 10 toes are pointing forward. Step forward. I'm going to step up a little closer to the blocks. Okay, we're going to remove the blocks to the side, bend the knees much more, get closer to the floor so you can plant the hands into your mat, walk the feet back into plank pose. Draw that straight line. Hold for a moment. We'll bring knees to the floor. We're going to sit back into hero pose, Any variation is fine. If you can sit all the way back into the pose like so, just be aware of how this feels in your knees and your ankles, but you can certainly modify that with the lift, even tucking that towel or blanket between. But we're not going to be here too long. We're just getting a little counter stretch again through the top of the foot. Now, let's find our way to the earth. Sit off to the side, swing the legs around to the front here. Let's sit in the center of the mat. Go ahead and roll down onto your back. Draw your knees into chest. Take some deep breaths. So we've completed our featured poses today, pyramid and triangle. So pyramid, you may have noticed, really does affect the legs, shins, ankles. There's some core work, lots of balance, and a new sense of balance there too. Triangle pose, not only is it a nice hamstring stretch, but also affects the hips. Circle the feet here. Alrighty, let's take a hip opener. So you might lightly flex the feet, hold on to the shins or knees, and just gently take the legs wide so you can get a stretch in the inner legs. Your elbows and triceps might rest on the floor, and that's quite nice actually. And just take a few breaths. Get 2 more breaths. After the second breath, let's just push the knees together up at the top. Let's move into a twist. Let's start by taking both knees over towards the left side as you extend your right arm out to the right side. This creates a rotation in the spine. I usually take my left hand here and place it on top of this right leg, the top leg. And really just the weight of the hand is fine, but you can actually kind of press downward a little bit. Just a couple breaths, noticing what's happening in your low back and hips. And then we'll lift the knees, bring them back to center. Hold center so your spine can realign here for a moment. And we'll gently take the knees over to the other side. Left arm out to the left side. And again, maybe using the right hand, just the weight of the hand on top of the leg is fine, or even a gentle press towards the floor, just to add a little bit more sensation, if you want it, in the low back and hips in this spinal twist. A couple more breaths. And when you feel complete, we'll come back up to center, catch the knees, give yourself another hug, a little circle of the feet, then set the feet down, pause here, just settle, and then go ahead and extend the legs straight out in front of you. As you extend the legs out front, if you have room behind you, extend your arms behind you, and inhale and dynamically reach in these opposite directions. Then as you exhale, relax your body, bring your arms down to your side. Feel your body completely relax and just melt into the earth. The feet kind of fall open, legs get heavy, hips sink into the earth, as well as your back, your shoulders, and your head. And again, you can keep your eyes opened if you'd like for this, or close your eyes as you move into Shavasana, and a great position to be in for our final meditation. So just holding here in stillness, but still very aware of the flow and movement of your breath. Just as we did at the beginning of the practice, we stood tall in stillness. Actually, we sat tall in stillness, aware of the breath, becoming more in tune with the breath as it moved through our bodies, to be fully present in that seated meditation. As we now return to stillness, we lie down. Complete release of the body, disengaging any muscles, letting them relax, knowing that you've completed your work. A nice dynamic flow of the body with our featured poses today. Feel free to stay here as long as you'd like. As your body is settling and you feel much more relaxed, just take the time here. Even as I end the practice and come up to seated, you're welcome to stay in Shavasana for as long as you'd like. When you're ready to move, rather than moving too quickly, start with the movement of your breath. Just take some slow, steady breaths. 3 to 5 good energetic breaths here. So you can feel movement return to your body is good. Feel that energy move through you. Movement returning. Maintain as best as you can this sense of relaxation that you've created in your Shavasana pose. Carry it to the very end. And then moving very slowly, you might roll to one side. And press yourself slowly up to seated. Returning to the place where we began. Maybe sitting tall with legs crossed if that was comfortable. Nice lengthened spine. Arms just relaxed down by your side. And then one last movement together. Inhale, extend your arms out and up. As you exhale, bring your palms together and down to your heart. Taking one more full breath in and out. Good. And as we come to the close of our practice together, we bow, saying, Namaste. Thank you so much for watching and participating in this yoga lesson. To help us with the channel so we can continue to bring you more content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's really appreciated. Namaste.